Hi everybody, this is Chris, and I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to these rare tapes. And I wanted to give an explanation on how they came into my possession. Okay, these were tapes that were pulled out of the trash when I worked at Rounder Records. One of my jobs was to go and collect all the trash from the offices. And it was one of my many jobs in the warehouse there. And I found these cassette tapes, which are all from 1973. And I recognize some of the names on here. There was Hobo Jack and Dave Woolham. And then there was Curly Parker. And there was Willie G. Brewster and Danny Bailey. And then there was Stoney, William Lee and Stoney Cooper at the Grand Ole Opry. And I saw these things, and generally I would grab cassettes of demos and things like that. They would have a box in the break room of demos and various things, and you could just take from the cassettes and reuse the cassettes, put a piece of tape on that back in those days, if you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I was emptying the trash in Bill Nowlin's office, and I found these tapes. And I do want to be honest and upfront, they don't belong to me. They were being thrown away, so I don't know what the legality is, but I saw value. I saw historic value in them, so that I did not throw them in the dumpster. These were tapes to be transcribed. These are notes that Bill wrote. None of this here has been transcribed. In many cases, you will hear loud noises in the background. This was recorded backstage at the Opry. Good luck. So anyway, these notes accompanied the tapes. They were probably being used for maybe liner notes or just info for the back of the records that Bill was putting together along with Ken and Marion for Rounder Records. They, years of fabulous roots music that they helped uncover and discover and whatnot. But I worked there. I took them out of the trash. I saw the value there, and I decided to take them. They are the property, once again, of, I don't know when you dumpster dive, I don't know, maybe if you want them back, all these recordings, I don't monetize my videos, so I'm not collecting money on any of this. This is purely for historic purposes. I saw value, and I think there is value in these tapes because I've gotten some messages from people who have seen the previous things I've posted, and there is interest in this, and especially 50 years later. So Bill Nowlin, through your lawyers or whatever, this is all you. I'm just posting it in hopes that you understand, as a fellow documentarian, as someone who values history, as values art and things like that. Bill's written many books about the Red Sox. I didn't leave the place on great terms, but I was there because I had a shared love of roots music, a shared love of history, and all that stuff. And now I present to you these tapes. I have a few more, and because of the interest, I'm going to post them. The historical value outweighs any kind of action or whatever. If anger, if people get mad at me for posting this, I'm sorry, but I did it in sort of tribute and honor of this beautiful music and these historic documents. I mean, this is just, wait till you hear it. Unbelievable stuff from a bygone era. Thank you. I'm Chris Clark, and I approve this message.
To know your full names. You're Orville Hogan?
Orville Hogan, right.
And my full name is Roy Grant, same as when sober. Full name. What's your name in full? Roy Grant, same as when sober.
Roy Grant?
Roy Grant, right.
Right, you called yourself Whitey.
Whitey.
Or people called you that anyhow.
Because Hogan, just call him Hogan.
Yeah. His Crutchfield, our Nazi, you see.
Right.
Hogan you couldn't call him anything else but Hogan.
Yeah, it's a good sounding name, Whitey and Hogan.
Thank you.
Were you both from around here? From Charlotte? In this area?
I was originally from Andrews, North Carolina, a little town out in the southwestern part of the state, near the Georgia line. And Whitey, of course, is from Rutherford in Canada.
Rutherford,
Around Rutherford.
I was living in Gastonia at the time Hogan and I met.
What year was that you met?
About 1939, 38 or 39, what?
Moved over to 1935.
35? Gee, that's been a long time. That's why I forgot.
You met in Gastonia?
Met in Gastonia, right.
How'd you come to meet there?
That's a long story.
No?
Have you got time to listen
yeah.
to it?
Oh,
I can
that's what I
tell you
wanna know.
in detail. I was playing with my brother-in-law at the time, and Hogan was playing with his brother. And it just so happened that Hogan's brother and my brother-in-law worked on the same shift in the cotton mill over there in Gastonia, and Hogan and I worked on the same shift. So Hogan and his brother was walking around one Sunday and heard this strange noise coming from around behind my house, and they came around. It was my brother-in-law and I playing the guitars and singing. And in the course of conversation, Hogan says, "Well, that's funny." He said, "Your brother-in-law works the same shift my brother does." Says, someday when they're working, said, "Let's you and I get together and drum up a tune or two ourselves." And I said, "It's a good idea, and my brother-in-law and your brother can do the same." So that's how we met. We started playing while my brother-in-law and his brother was at work.
How old were you back then? At 35 or so?
Somewhere around 30-some. I don't remember exactly. It takes a lot of
Let's see, I was-
mathematics
What
to
year were you
figure it
born?
back.
I was 19 when I married in 1935, and I'm 57 now.
I was 20-some, somewhere around 23 or 4, some, I'm not sure.
So you were married then, about the time you met?
Whitey was, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
But close to being.
What kind of work did you have in the cotton mill?
We
Speeder
worked in the
hand,
twisting
twister.
department in Firestone. We made the fabric that went into Firestone tires.
It was a rubber plant.
It was
Really?
What was it? You did the cotton that went into a rubber tire?
That's right.
We made the fabric that went into the automobile tire, the little cords.
Yeah.
That was the job that we were doing when we met.
You're lucky to have a job in 1935, I think.
Yes,
You ain't kidding.
You aren't kidding. Yes, sir.
Any kind of a job was good. That meant bread on the table.
It had a big strike in Gastonia, I know, a famous one some years before.
That was just prior to our being in Gastonia.
It was quite a bit earlier, I think.
Yes, I'm glad we weren't in there.
It was a pretty bloody strike.
Yes, it was. A couple of
Yes.
people lost their lives, I think.
And it was a Manville Jenkins mill at that time. And later Firestone bought it and reopened it. Because the strike, I think, closed it down. Never did do any more good.
How did you get to, you started fooling around just playing together?
We started playing in churches just because we loved to play. We played in, I don't know how many churches in North and South Carolina. And when the radio station opened in Gastonia, Hogan and I went up and auditioned, and they gave us a program. And during the time of this program, WBT had heard about Whitey and Hogan. They came over to do a jamboree in the city of Gastonia, and the promotion man, who happened to be Bill Bivens, came up to the radio station and asked Hogan and I if we would love to appear on the show. And we told him certainly, and he quoted a surprise that he would give us. Actually, all he was buying was the plugs on our radio program because he knew that we were pretty popular, and a lot of people listened to us, and he was just more or less buying the plugs. But we went down and worked on the show, and at the end of the show, he asked us how would we like to be on the Briar Harper show over in WBT in Charlotte, and we told him that was the height of our ambition at that time. And lo and behold, the next year, he had talked to the program owner and our program manager at WBT. And lo and behold, next year, they called us and we went to work on WBT and stayed there for 12 years.
Starting in, what year did you start then, around 36?
41.
You started around
19
41.
We started in
41.
Played right up to 53 or so? 52?
Yeah,
Right,
full-time ended in 51, then we did some TV work and part-time work after that.
until about 50, late 52, early 53.
Did you ever play, besides at churches and on the radio, did you ever tour much? You said, you told me a story before about with the Delmore brothers.
This was this was while we were on WBT. As I was telling you a while ago, we had always idolized the Delmores, and to me, yet they were a wonderful duet. They loved music and they loved to make music, and they were we just idolized. And they were good singers, and. Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs had contacted Hogan and myself and asked us if we would come to Lexington, Kentucky and work a jamboree with the Flatt and Scruggs, the Delmores, Wayne Rainey and Lonnie Glosson. So we went out there and we were embarrassed to death to find that we had billing over the Delmore brothers. And the minute we walked into the arena, two guys came to us, and one says, "Rabe, there they are, there they are." And we were surprised to find out that they were as interested in meeting us as we were in meeting them. So immediately they said, "Come on, let's go to the dressing room." And we said, "Bring your guitar and mandolin." So we went to the dressing room and out and said, "Let's swap some tunes." And heck, I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You play us one and we'll play you one." And we sat there for an hour just exchanging
Before the
tunes.
show,
It was a delight to meet the guys and to know them. They were wonderful musicians. I still say they're the greatest duet yet.
You were at, you played on the Gastonia radio before going to Charlotte?
Right,
That was this WGNC?
That WGNC in Gastonia,
You were
right.
for the Eford department store.
And
Yes,
prior
Eford
to
Department.
prior to that, we did some guests on WSP in Spartanburg. Played quite a few shows down there.
on
Who
amateur
sponsored
show.
you there? Or
It was just an amateur show.
Just an amateur show, no sponsor.
When you worked in the department store, what was it, a 15-minute show?
Eford did.
12:45 to 1 or so, or did it go after 1?
No, it was about a 15-minute show from 12:45 to 1.
And then we were on for Rustin Furniture there in Gastonia for quite a while too.
You hear Hogan's dog, Bill. He's barking for a bone.
Now the Briarhoppers, they already existed before you joined them. You joined up with
Yes,
them. Was that, were they an existing group, or how did they get together, do you know?
Drug Trade Products Company in Chicago was wanting to sponsor a program in the South, and WBT had some boys that they felt like could do country western or hillbilly, what you might say, or bluegrass. And they got those boys together and they started the program, but they didn't have a name. They just called themselves, I forget now what they call them, but anyway, a couple of the guys were out hunting. Mr. Crutchfield, Mr. Bivens were out rabbit hunting one day, and they jumped a rabbit, and one of them says to the other, "Hey, look at that rabbit, hop those briars." And Crutchfield immediately says, "That's a name for our outfit, Briar Hoppers," and that's what we were known as for 15, 16, 17 years.
So you joined up with them and
After
you stuck
that,
right
yes.
with them.
Several years after that.
We stayed as long as the Briar Hoppers existed.
Yeah. But, so when you were known as Whitey and Hogan before joining them,
Oh, yes.
did you at the same time play occasional shows while you were with the Briar Hoppers? Did you still play occasional shows as Whitey and Hogan?
Oh yes, made quite a few appearances
Just
as
as
Whitey and Hogan.
Right,
yes. Just like the one you're telling about in Kentucky. That
Yeah.
was just a Whitey
Right.
and Hogan appearance.
When year was that in? Do you know? That would have to be after 45 or 46. 'cause
Yes,
Martin
it was
Scruggs were
long.
together.
I would say about 48, wasn't it? Whitey?
Yeah, 48, 49, somewhere in that
along in that
neighborhood.
area.
But it was a terrific experience for us. They had this arena over there where they auctioned off cattle in Lexington, Kentucky. And the boys did a grand promotion job on it. Before we ever started the second show, before we ever started the first show, the second show was a complete sellout. Terrific.
Oh, and
Some big crowds back then.
a good part of this, our most played record up there was Jesse James.
On the
And
Cowboy.
that was the biggest requested number we had in Kentucky at that time was Jesse James on Cowboy Record.
What year did you make that record in? Do you know
I
that?
just couldn't tell you exactly.
That was
what year it was.
I couldn't tell you when it was.
And,
It'd have to be before that time, though.
Yes, of course.
On the record, Shannon Grayson plays banjo with us on the record, and so when we did the number on the show up there, why Earl Scruggs played banjo with us, so it would sound like the original
So it sounded
record.
like the original record.
Yeah, that's a good person to have filling in for you.
Yeah,
too.
you might have
yeah,
right. It's a
it
good
was.
person to have filling in for you.
What was the Cowboy record label? How did you ever cut that record? What town did you cut it in? Here?
Here, we cut it here. The boy that was head of it at that time came through here looking for talent.
Do you remember his
Yeah.
name?
No, I don't. I couldn't. It slips my mind right now, but I wish I could, but I can't. I can't.
Do you know where
remember.
he was from?
I think he was from Pennsylvania. I believe the boy was from Pennsylvania. Nice fella, real nice fella.
There were one or two outfits that came down from Pennsylvania and did some recording, I guess.
And Riley Shepard helped produce the records. Did you ever know of Riley Shepard?
No.
He used to go around and do a lot of that at that time.
It was just you only made one record for that company, or did you
Made
make
two records.
Two records.
Made one session.
What were the other tunes that you recorded then? Do you recall?
Gee, I wish you hadn't asked. It's been so long I've forgotten. I have both of the records, I believe, at the house. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
that.
Suppose you go up there and see if you got them, Whitey.
Well,
Could
not right now,
Yeah.
but I like to try to get a list later as close we can come to what titles you're recording. Right?
Okay.
May not be too complete, but
I know it's been quite a
like
while.
some song. How did you come to record for Decca?
Mr. Van Sills, who happened to be the distributor here in Charlotte for Decca Records, heard about Whitey and Hogan, the two boys over in Gastonia, and he wrote to us, or called us at the station to come over and bring our music and our instruments that he would like to hear some of our stuff. So we brought our music and the instruments over, and he listened to quite a few of our numbers. And he said, I think you've got something that Decca might be interested in. He says, go back home and sit tight until you hear from me. So we figured maybe that might be the end of it. But anyway, we went home and sit tight. And he did. He sent us a telegram to make preparations to go to New York that Decca wanted us. And we went to New York and made 16 sides for Decca.
Do you remember what year that was?
That was in 43 or 44, somewhere along there. 40.
Must have been earlier than that,
Early.
because that was for Brawhopper.
And
Before we went on.
yes,
Ever
it
on
was.
Brawhopper.
It was in around 39 or 40 that we did the 16 sides.
You recorded them as Whitey and Hogan.
Right.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And just Whitey and Hogan played on them, as you can well tell by listening to them. They
Just the two of you.
needed more music.
Well, I don't know. Some
Sound
of the best
engine.
records had just a guitar and a mandolin, I think.
Two of as good of friends as we ever had. I guess all they ever had on for their first recordings was Bill and Earl Bullock, the Blue Sky Boys. Fine fellas.
They did have some good fiddle in them on a few of theirs. too.
Yeah, the last of their recordings, I think they had a fiddle and maybe a bass on some of their latter recordings.
Did you get to meet them at personal appearances ever, the Blue Sky Boys?
We met them at the WBT one time. They came to WBT, and we only met Bill and Earl one time, but we corresponded with them quite a bit because we recorded a couple of their songs, and they recorded one or two of ours. And during the recording sessions or prior to them, we were in contact with each other by mail and telephone.
You both did that Turn Your Radio On. You think you were perhaps the first group to record that?
Yes, I think we might have been the first ones that recorded "Turn Your Radio On" for Decca in somewhere 1939 or 40, and then this love song that Louisville and Scotty wrote, "How I Told You Lately That I Love You." I think we were the first ones to record that, or one of the first ones to record "Have I Told You Lately That I Love You," and it went over good for us.
Where did you first hear Jesse James? How did you come to record that particular song?
That song has been around as long as I have, or as long as Whitey has. As far back as I can remember, I remember that
You
song.
just liked it?
Just like the
Yeah.
tune. It had a good beat to it, and
The
we just
boy
loved to play.
that recorded the Song Cowboy label was particularly interested in that number.
But it's a good number. It really is.
Now, when you worked with this drug company, you advertised this Peruna.
Piruna,
Piruna.
Colorback, and Zymotroches, cough drops. You know, the
Radio Girl perfume.
Radio Girl perfume. It's the products that drug trade product company of Chicago, Illinois, put out or sold, and we were their sponsor here on WBT.
Let me ask you about this picture here. This Bill Brierhopper. What was his real last name?
His name is William P. Davis. His home is in High.
Is he the bass player there?
Yes, he was the oldest one of the groups. He's retired now. He lives in High Point. Yes,
Called him Big Bill Davis.
Called him Big Bill Davis.
And this Gib Young.
Gib Young has passed away now. He was as good a guitar player as I've ever seen. He died suddenly in his sleep.
And there's Hank Brierhopper, who's the guy.
Hank Brierhopper is very much alive. He is the head photo man of WBTV.
I forgot what you said his last name was.
Warren.
Hank Warren.
Hank
yeah.
Warren,
But everybody else's name here, Charlie Crutchfield, Homer Christopher, and so forth, that's all their real names.
Yes,
Right.
Charlie Crutchfield, who was general manager of a radio station WBT and WBT FM and WBTV.
And Grady Cole was the announcer.
Grady Cole is retired now. He was an announcer at WBT.
What did Eleanor Bryan do?
Eleanor Bryan married
Lou Childers.
Lou Childry.
On WSM.
WSM. And now where Eleanor and Lou are now, I don't know, but I would love to.
Lou is passed on, but I don't know where.
What did you do in your group at the time?
She
Did
was
you-
She was a singer.
Singer,
Right.
girl singer, and she was very good.
Did she play on the accordion, or she just
Played the
fooling around
guitar.
there?
She was just
played the
fooling
guitar.
around. She played
She
guitar.
was playing around right there, but she played the guitar very good.
How long a show did you have on WBT?
Uh,
How many days a week?
we were on 5 days a week, 6 days
6
a
days a
week.
week, 30 minutes, 4:30 to 5. Everybody could set their watch.
Is that in the evening or in the morning?
That was in the
afternoon.
evening.
I
We
don't
were
know
on-
how many people got up that early. I know some of them
Yeah.
had some pretty early.
I think
afternoon,
one reason
4:35.
that we had so many listeners was they didn't want to miss Lone Ranger, and if they heard us,
That
they were
started at
bound to.
5?
They were the Lone
Yeah,
Ranger
5.
followed us at 5, and they heard us to not miss the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, I used to listen to the Lone Ranger at 5, but I didn't, up our way you couldn't hear the Brierhoppers. So that's too bad. I missed a
Now,
lot
when we
back
were
then.
on early in the morning, we received mail abundantly from up in your part of the country, around Boston. We
And all the way
reached out
up
to a lot of
in,
listeners.
up
Yes,
in Canada, all through that section.
There's a lot of fans in Canada of this kind of music. He used to do comedy routines?
Yes.
Yeah, Hank was a good
one
comedian.
good comedian.
One of the best.
What kind of stuff did he do?
Let me give you an idea. We'd be playing these little country schoolhouses, and he'd say, "Why do you?" I emceed the show. We took a time about between Claude, Fred, and myself. He said, "Why do you know what this light reminds me of over there?" And I said, "No, what, Hank?" He said, "That one over there." That kind of stuff.
He just broke him up.
But he broke us up one night. I was expecting to say, "Why do you know what that light reminds me?" But it just so happened it was a country schoolhouse, and they had two of these what they call pot-bellied stoves. They burn coal. He said, "Why do you know what that stove over there reminds me of?" And I said, "No, what?" He said, "That one over there." Stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's quite an outfit on there. Now here, somebody's wearing a pistol there.
Yeah, that was
That's
Fred Kirby.
Fred Kirby.
Fred is still in the business at the WT.
When did you start wearing cowboy outfits? Just on and off, or?
Just on and off. I didn't like to wear them because they were too hot.
Yeah, there wasn't very many cowboys in this part of the country. It
No,
didn't have
not
much
in
to
this,
do with the music.
not in this part of country, but just because it was country and western,
Yeah.
and it was something showy, a little something different from the regular overalls and blue jeans.
Well, I mean, here back in this first picture, you're just dressed normal, you know.
That's right.
Right,
That's the way it ought to be. That it shouldn't have you
Mhm.
make you wear these outfits and so forth. This here, you're playing some kind of a steel mandolin. Is that a
That
Gibson?
was
or-
a national.
National mandolin, yeah.
Yeah, one of those loud things. No tone quality, just loud.
Mm-hmm.
Traded. They got rid of that and got a Gibson later on, which had tone quality.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a
That's
friend of
very
mine
good.
whose specialty is national instruments.
Is that
steel
right? Well,
instruments.
they build good instrument, but this thing was a steel.
It's got a resonator. Or something.
Yeah, resonator in it and all. Is it real loud?
Yeah.
But the quality is all right for personal appearances, things like that. But if you go to record or something like that, it wasn't too good.
Why did you take up the mandolin?
Well,
I've asked him that too. They're too hard to play for me.
Wish I could.
they were three of us brothers, and we all were playing the guitar. And there was a neighbor of ours, Roe Young, played the fiddle. We'd get together and play, and he said we need another instrument. And he suggested to me, why didn't I get a mandolin? And I told him I never heard tell of one, didn't know what it was. So we looked in the Sears catalog and found one and ordered it, $3.98. So we got it, and he showed me how to tune it. And from that day on, I played the mandolin.
He was a mandolin player.
I guess it was pretty common to be playing the guitar back then too. What time did you start? How old were you when you started with the mandolin?
Oh, I was in my teens, teenager.
Early teens?
Uh-huh.
13 or 14?
Somewhere in that, around there. I don't remember.
How long had
exactly.
you been playing the guitar before that? A few years? Or?
Oh, 2 or 3 years. We hadn't been playing too long.
Did either of your parents play anything? They play any instruments?
No, they didn't play any instruments. They were singers.
Just all you boys got
choir.
interested in the
Yes,
instruments.
because it got to where music began to take effect then, and began to get popular all over, and everybody started wanting to play.
With the radio and the...
Yeah, radio coming on, the records coming out, and everybody began to want to play something, and the guitar was the most popular thing at that time.
How old were you, Whitey, when you started with the guitar?
I was about, when I started fooling with the guitar, I was about 14 or 15 years old.
How about in your family? Was there other musicians?
No musicians whatsoever. And my dad, bless his heart, he used to say himself he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. But my mother could sing. She was a good alto singer. But they've both long since passed away. I don't know why. I just wanted to learn to play the guitar so bad I could just scream that I wanted to learn to play so bad. And I still say that if anybody wants to learn to play the guitar as bad as I did, they can learn. You may have to do it alone. You may have to run all of your folks away from home sometime trying, but if you want to learn, you can.
What did your parents do? What did your father do for a job?
My father was a paint contractor, and my mother just was a housewife.
And my father was a state highway department for the last several years. He retired from the state department.
Just I'm interested in what people do for work and take it back a generation or so. See what are.
Yeah, it's very interesting. That's one of my hobbies, tracing my family tree.
Speaking of my brothers, one of them's still in the business, but he's a Baptist minister. But he still sings, and he's got a family that's known as the Singing Hogans.
Where are they based?
In over in Tennessee,
Do you know
Athens, Tennessee.
Athens, Tennessee.
And I have a couple of their albums here.
I've never heard of them. When you
They're
started
really
working with WGNC, was that a full-time job, pretty much?
No, that was just part-time,
That was just a
because
hobby
we were
job.
still with Firestone
What shift were you on back then?
on the second shift, and we did our show prior to going to work in the afternoon.
You going to work about 4 to
3.
Went to work at 3 to 11.
Yeah.
And this,
So they didn't have to let you off from work. You went.
No,
that's
right.
You went on to work.
Then when we got on Brawhopper program, we had to switch to the third shift,
Starting at
and
11.
for a while, till we seen how it was going to go at WBT, we held our job at the mill, and things didn't shape up for us, so we gave up the job in the mill and followed music continuously then for 10 or 12 years, did nothing but that.
About how long did you work both at the mill and at the show? 6 months? Or?
6 months, I believe, is what it was, because the program, Brawhopper program at that time was staying on 6 months and off 6.
How come?
And, well, they had anything to sell in the summertime,
Yeah.
but after we went over there, the show gained so much popularity that the sponsor decided to put another product on and keep it on the year round, and they came out with Radio Girl perfume and
Zymo
different
trophies.
Radio
Zymo
Girl
trophies.
perfume?
Yes, Zymo trophies, cough drop. I can't forget them.
And they'd sell that and the color back during the summer months.
That was stuff you put on your hair too.
So our program stayed on continuously then, so we gave up the mill.
What did that do on your hair? And what was it supposed to
It
do?
just-
on your
It's
hair?
supposed to turn your hair
black
dark.
or-
If you were gray-headed, you put it on it, and it made it
In
turn
other
dark.
words, it was a hair dye.
In case you're worried about getting old.
Yeah, right. Our announcer used to say, "We don't care what you do with it, pour it in your car radiator just so you buy it." He said, "That's what keeps us on."
What did you do after you left the Briar Hoppers? After they ended operations?
Well, for after the program went off, Hogan and I had offers from 3 different radio stations, but our children at that time could go to school and could go to church and not have to cross the streets, and our children at that time were very young. So we decided we'd give work in a whiz in our lives. So I started driving a city bus here in Charlotte. Hogan went into the restaurant business down in West Palm Beach, Florida, and neither of us was greatly satisfied with our jobs and satisfied away from each other. So I started with the post office department, and we corresponded with Hogan frequently and told him to come on back up here and let's see if we could find him a job. So Hogan sold insurance for a while, and then there came the examination at the post office for the carrier craft, the same thing that I was doing. So we got busy, and he got in, took the examination, passed it. So right now we're both letter carriers with the U.S. Post Office Department.
And we get a lot of mail every day. You're lucky you don't have us on your route.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
We get big boxes too that they keep for us down at the station.
Oh, it's
I
fun.
mean, sometimes we get 20 cartons of records
Yeah.
and stuff on a busy
Cool.
day.
That's something.
I never did carry the mail, but I always thought it would be an interesting thing to do.
It is.
I
It's a
used-
lot of fun.
I used to deliver newspapers. When I was
Oh, I did too.
Similar to that.
I had a paper route when Lindbergh flew the Atlantic Ocean. I remember that very, very well.
Carrying mail is just wonderful. Something you just fall in love with.
You meet, and you're
Just meet so
outdoors. You
many
meet a
good
lot of nice
people.
people. Yeah.
So many good people.
You get bit by dogs once in a while.
So far, I've been lucky. I haven't been bitten, but a lot of carriers has been bitten.
I got bit twice in 3 days when I was doing papers by the same dog. That's all. Last
He
time,
liked you, huh?
last time I gave them any newspapers. They used to have me leave it next door from that point on. I just pick it up over there. Let's see. I always think of the questions after I leave that I wish that I'd asked when I
You
was
would.
there. I'm running out of space here. Let me stop this anyhow.